Okay, let's see here. Horror Maker here. Today we're going to review the movie Carrie. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can get that going here. There we go. Carrie, the newer version of it, stuff like that. It's a story of a young girl who actually, for the first time, gets her menstrual cycle inside high school, and she's in the shower. And of course, she doesn't know what's going on, and the other girls don't really kind of help her out. They kind of just terrorize her about it, throwing tampons and maxi pads at her, plug it up. And one of the girls decides to video it on her phone. And of course, a little bit later in the film, she posts it on the internet. Oh, how lovely. And of course, it gets all out. And the school seems to be having a good time with this. So now the girl gets suspended from it and stuff like that and blames it all on Carrie. It's like none of this would happen if it wasn't for Carrie and stuff like that, without accepting any of the responsibilities of her own actions. So they kind of set it up, and the one girl actually feels sorry for not doing anything to her and asks her boyfriend to take Carrie to the prom. They end up doing that, and the girl that got suspended finds out about this and decides to set it up to totally humiliate Carrie for having her suspended and so forth. And then, of course, once that happens, it really comes out what Carrie is. Now, as we figure out in the movie, early on in the movie, Carrie has a telekinetic power. All right, and as we move along in the film, she is starting to discover how to use it properly. And of course, something happens at prom, and it makes her go ballistic. And I'll stop right there. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with this and stuff like that, especially if you've read the Stephen King story, or even seen the '70s version starring Sissy Spacek, and or the TV remake. I'm sorry, I don't remember who the girl was that play her name. That's inside the one inside the TV one. All I know is she was in the movie May, and she was also in the movie The Woman, and she I think is married to the director Lucky McGee, I think is his name, or if they're not married, they're dating, one of the two, and stuff like that. So. All right, so what did I think of the remake of Carrie? First of all, I agree. This is the type of film that does need a remake. It needs to be modernized, and which it did, because back in the '70s we didn't have these cellular phones or internet or anything like that, and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat. It does address the idea of bullying, and of course, a lot of people out there that if you've ever been bullied, you would really almost wish you had the powers that Carrie did, so that way you can do some of the things that Carrie did. Um, Also, I should add inside the story there that Carrie has a very nut case mother, played by Julianne Moore, who does a beautiful job. She's just really good. Um, so as the movie, I tried to view the movie without knowing I have read the Stephen King book and without looking at the other two films, and looked at it as a standalone. And using it as a standalone, there are good measures in the film, but there aren't. There are some things that just don't make sense because of the time frame of the film. All right, it's in today's standards. Like in the opening scene, after the whole thing inside the girl's shower, Carrie is inside the principal's offices. The principal can't even address this. I don't even know how he became principal and stuff. But Carrie finds out that has to have her mom come to school and pick her up. Carrie gets upset, and then behind them is those water coolers with a bottled water on top, and it shatters. It's made of glass. I actually had to rewind the DVD, or excuse me, the Blu-ray, and say, wait, is that glass? Who makes glass water bottles nowadays? I mean, that was back in the '70s. Come on, we use plastic nowadays. Also, as we flash forward into the prom, I went to high school in the '80s, and when I went to 3 proms, I never was at a high school gym. Was anybody else out there at a high school gym? And stuff like that. It's usually set up somewhere else. I mean, back in the '70s it might have happened. I don't know, but we didn't. And I can't imagine them being held today in a high school gym. Also, was the voting for the king and queen was done there at prom, and I don't remember doing that either. It was always done prior to prom, so that way they could count the ballots and stuff like that. So, but see, back in the '70s, that might have happened. I don't know how it worked back then and stuff. So there was just little things like that that just didn't make sense for today's standards. Now, grading on the movie, I actually give it a C plus without trying to look at the other stuff, Stephen King's novel and stuff. I give it a C plus. I think it did fine. However, it doesn't really lead up to any terror. You're just kind of amazed and watching Carrie develop her power. of this telekinesis and stuff like that, and you really can't wait until she just goes nuts. You know, you're really waiting for that and see how it goes. That was a good plus there, because when she does finally go nuts and stuff like that, the special effects are great. I mean, things are flying all over the place, and you really get a whole different type of terror compared to the other two films. One big drawback was the girl Carrie herself. I didn't feel that this was the type of person that should have played Carrie. In the other two films, Sissy Spacek and I think her name's Angela, uh, they were very brittle at the beginning of the film, and then they turn into a blossom flower and stuff like that. This Carrie wasn't brittle at the film. She was one of those girls that just cringe up. Yes, but she was still gorgeous. She still had a beautiful body. She just was just beautiful any way you looked at her. When she was in the shower and her hair was all down, she looked great and stuff like that. So it was hard to believe that this nice-looking girl was any different and stuff like that, because it's supposed to be in the other two films, yeah, they're brittle, you know, vulnerable, and they turn into this beautiful thing at the end and stuff. So, but I think it's worth checking out. If you've never seen the other two films and you haven't read Stephen King's novel, check this out. It's really kind of neat, and hopefully it will inspire people to take responsibilities for their actions and really think about it and stuff. But other than that, it was okay. C plus. In case I didn't say that earlier, C plus. All right, let's wrap it up for this edition. There is a sequel that was made back in the 90s, I believe it was. It was Carrie 2: The Rage. I will be reviewing that later on. I got to take another review at that, look at that, and stuff like that. Also, I looked at the alternative ending of this film since it was on Blu-ray, and I didn't understand the ending for why they did that. You know, it was just kind of, I don't know what kind of ending that people had at the theater. I didn't go into that and stuff like that. All right, don't forget, check out Bled White. Bled White. I am the crossroad man in this thing. All right, I do have a character role in that. Check it out. Get on the website at bledwhitemovie.com or get on Facebook, the Bled White. Don't forget, you want to demand a sequel. You want to know what happens to Natalie and Ed. I think his name's Ed. North plays Ed and stuff like that. And me and stuff. You can see it's kind of the back end of the. This is the DVD. Whoop. I'm still trying to get used to this camera stuff. Stuff like that. There's the back of it and stuff like that. It's like Pulp Fiction meets zombies. If you got any questions, qualms, or anything like that, and please don't be afraid to email me at horrormaker@hotmail.com. I'd be glad to hear what you thought of the movie Carrie, the remake. If you like Sissy Spacek, if you like the older film, you like the TV version, whatever. Let me know what you think. If there's a movie that you'd like for me to review, please feel free to ask me about it, but please make sure they do have subtitles or captions on the film. I am very hard of hearing and stuff like that. That's why I don't go to the movie theaters, and a lot of these are late, and I have to wait for them to come out on DVD or Blu-ray and stuff like that so I can see them. Alrighty, other than that, take care of yourselves and each other. Remember, God loves you, and until next time.